You would be shocked to know, despite America being a developed nation, in some parts of the country, it is advisable to not go out in the dark after a specific time. This is the reality of some of the cities in the US that we're going to know about in this video.
Not a crime family associate. Zatalo desperately tries to escape.
Have you ever locked your car door and then checked it a second time? Or felt a shiver down your spine walking down a poorly lit street at night? For most of us, that feeling is temporary. But what if that feeling never went away? What if the constant threat of violence, theft, and danger was just a normal part of daily life? There are places in America right now where that is the reality. Cities where the question isn't if you'll become a victim of a crime, but when. You might see headlines about crime going down nationally, and in some of these cities it is. But it dropped from astronomically high to just extremely high still leaves a level of danger that most people can't even imagine. Today, we're not just looking at statistics. We're pulling back the curtain on the 10 cities in the United States that people are genuinely afraid to move to. We're going to look at the raw numbers, the real stories, and the reasons why these places have earned the title of America's most dangerous cities. Stay with us, because what you're about to hear might change the way you see your own safety forever.
10. Pueblo, Colorado. Let's start our journey in a city that might surprise you. It's not a massive metropolis, but it holds a dark title. What if the biggest threat in your city wasn't just crime, but the feeling that it could explode at any moment? Welcome to Pueblo, Colorado. With a population of just over 112,000, Pueblo has the highest violent crime rate of any large city in the entire state of Colorado. Think about that for a second. Higher than Denver, higher than Colorado Springs. This isn't just a statistic, it's a heavy burden for the people who live there. Now, here's the twist. In 2024, Pueblo saw its homicide rate drop by a massive 28%. That sounds like great news, right? But here's what makes it so terrifying. At the beginning of that same year, the city saw a massive spike in homicides compared to the year before. It shows just how volatile and unpredictable the situation is. The danger can surge back without warning. What's fueling this fire? Locals and online forums are filled with whispers and warnings about rampant gang activity and the desperate crimes that come from a serious drug problem. People stealing just to get their next fix. It's a city on edge, where a good year can be followed by a terrifying one. Would you be willing to gamble your safety on which year it's going to be?
Number 9. Monroe, Louisiana. Have you ever seen a number so shocking it doesn't seem real? Our next city is another smaller community, but it packs a powerful punch of danger. How can a city of less than 50,000 people be so hazardous? Let's talk about Monroe, Louisiana. According to the latest FBI data from 2023, the violent crime rate in Monroe is a staggering 478% higher than the national average. Let me repeat that, 478% higher. Your chance of being a victim of a violent crime here is 1 in 48. In a city this small, you probably know someone who has been a victim. And it's not just violence. The property crime rate is 216% higher than what you'd see in the rest of the country. So even if you aren't physically harmed, your home, your car, your belongings, they are under constant threat. What's truly unsettling is the trend. While property crime has seen a small decrease, the data has shown an increase in violent crime. It's a concerning pattern that suggests the city's problems are getting worse, not better, in the ways that matter most for your personal safety. Imagine living in a place where you have to worry about your house being broken into and being assaulted on the street. That's the reality for the residents of Monroe.
Number 8. New Orleans, Louisiana. Next, we head to a city known for its music, its food, and its festivals. A place that attracts tourists from all over the world. But what if the vibrant energy of the French Quarter was hiding a much darker secret? What happens when the party ends and you're left alone on the streets of New Orleans? New Orleans has had a reputation for danger for decades, and for good reason. But here's where the story gets complicated. In 2024, the city saw a massive, almost unbelievable drop in crime. Murders down 38%, armed robberies down, property crime down 27%. The city's leaders are celebrating, and they should be. So why is it still on this list? Because even with those drops, the danger is far from gone. A joint task force with federal agents has helped, seizing illegal guns and drugs. But the violence hasn't been erased, it's just been suppressed. And here's a truly shocking fact that shows how deep the problem runs. Despite the incredible progress, 35 people were killed in just the first few months of 2025. This included a horrific attack on New Year's Day that left 14 people dead, one single incident. It's a terrifying reminder that in New Orleans, even in times of peace, extreme violence can erupt in an instant. The ghosts of its dangerous past still haunt the city's beautiful streets.
7. Cleveland, Ohio. What does it take to turn a city around? Our next stop has been fighting a long and bloody battle with crime, and for the first time in a long time, it seems to be winning. But is it enough to make you feel safe? Let's look at Cleveland, Ohio. For years, Cleveland was a place you would consistently find on any most dangerous list. In 2020, the city hit a grim milestone with 180 homicides. The streets were bleeding. But something has changed. In 2024, the number of homicides dropped to 105. That's a massive improvement and a sign of hope for the city. So how did they do it? Cleveland launched a huge initiative called RISE. They've invested in new technology, like camera sharing programs and ShotSpotter systems to track gunfire in real time. They're partnering with state and federal law enforcement to target crime hotspots. And they're trying to fix the core of the problem by investing in police recruitment with better pay and bonuses. But here's the question you have to ask yourself. The city is making all the right moves, but it's a long road back from being one of America's most violent places. The deep-seated problems that caused the crime epidemic in the first place, poverty, desperation, and decades of neglect, don't disappear overnight. Is the new hope strong enough to overcome the years of fear? It's a city in transition, and for now, it remains a place where you have to be very, very careful. Six, Alexandria, Louisiana. We return to Louisiana for our next city, and it proves a chilling point. Danger doesn't just live in big cities. Sometimes, the most hazardous places are the ones you've never even heard of. Have you ever wondered what it's like to live in a small town where big city violence is a daily threat? Welcome to Alexandria. With a population of only around 46,000 people, Alexandria suffers from a homicide rate that would be shocking in a city 10 times its size. The data for 2024 isn't even complete yet, but as of September, the city was already on track to have just as many murders as the year before.
When you talk to people who live there, you hear the fear in their voices. They worry about theft, vandalism, and the constant threat of gun violence. It's a place where rising crime has become so bad that local business owners are genuinely scared for the safety of their customers. Imagine trying to run a shop and having to worry that the next person who walks through the door might not be there to buy something. This is the reality in Alexandria. It's a stark reminder that the label small town doesn't always mean safe town. In this part of Louisiana, the dangers are very real, and the community is living on edge every single day.
5. Detroit, Michigan. This next city is perhaps one of the most famous examples of urban decay and danger in American history. For decades, its name was synonymous with crime. But what if I told you this city is in the middle of a stunning comeback? The question is, how do you escape a reputation written in blood? Let's dive into the story of Detroit, Michigan. In 2024, Detroit recorded 203 criminal homicides. Now, that number sounds high, and it is, but it's also the fewest homicides the city has seen since 1965. Let that sink in. A nearly 60-year low. Carjackings, once a terrifyingly common crime here, are down 71% from their peak. On paper, it's a miracle. But you can't erase decades of danger overnight. The city is still grappling with the ghosts of its past. Why was it so dangerous for so long? Deep-seated economic problems, extreme poverty, and a massive loss of jobs created a perfect storm for crime. Entire neighborhoods were hollowed out, leaving behind abandoned buildings that became magnets for illegal activity. Even today, with all the progress, the city still struggles with a high concentration of gang activity in certain areas. Economic desperation still lingers. The story of Detroit is one of hope battling against a history of violence. The city is safer than it has been in half a century, but it's a long way from being safe. It's a symbol of American resilience, but also a reminder of how deep the scars of crime can run.
4. Baltimore, Maryland. Our next city is a place of stark contrasts. Historic harbors and beautiful architecture stand just blocks away from neighborhoods plagued by violence. It's a city where a short walk can take you from a safe, tourist-friendly area to a place where you are at serious risk. Can a city truly be safe when a wrong turn can be a fatal mistake? This is the reality in Baltimore, Maryland. Like many cities on our list, Baltimore has seen some incredible progress. In 2024, homicides fell by 23%, bringing the total to 201, the lowest number in over a decade. The Baltimore police are actually solving murders at a rate higher than the national average, which is a testament to their hard work. But the danger is still shockingly real and personal. To give you an idea of what residents still face, just look at the headlines from June of 2025. In one incident, a deaf man was killed by his own cellmate in the city jail, with the family alleging the staff did nothing to protect him. In another, a man and woman were shot in the popular Fells Point neighborhood. In a third, 2 teenagers were arrested with multiple guns and a stockpile of ammunition. These aren't just statistics. These are real people, real families, and real tragedies happening right now. Baltimore is fighting hard to change its story, but the daily headlines are a brutal reminder that the city is still locked in a desperate struggle with the violence that threatens its very soul. 3. St. Louis, Missouri. What if your city was so dangerous it was famous for it? For years, St. Louis, Missouri has been at the very top of almost every list of America's most dangerous cities. Its reputation was so bad, it was almost a caricature of urban violence. But what happens when a city decides to fight back? In 2024, St. Louis saw its number of homicides fall to 150. This is the lowest that number has been in 11 years. Overall crime is down 15% year over year. For a city with such a dark past, this is more than just a statistic, it's a revolution. How did they do it? St. Louis has gone all in on a multifaceted approach. They've launched a regional violence prevention group called Save Lives Now. They are embracing technology, using systems like ShotSpotter to pinpoint the location of gunfire and ballistic networks to connect shell casings to the guns that fired them. Most importantly, they are trying to rebuild trust between the community and the police, and they're working with local partners to address the root causes of crime, things like poverty, mental health, and addiction. St. Louis is a fascinating case study. It's a city that is actively trying to heal itself, but its reputation still lingers, and the shadows of its violent past are long. The city is on the right path, but it's still a place where you have to be aware of your surroundings. It is a powerful example that even the most dangerous places can change, but that change is a slow, difficult, and ongoing battle.
2. Oakland, California. Our runner-up for the most dangerous city in America takes us to the West Coast, to a city sitting right across the bay from the glitz and glamour of San Francisco. But the contrast couldn't be more extreme. What creates a place so dangerous that it's driving businesses away and leaving residents in a state of constant fear? Let's talk about Oakland. In 2024, Oakland saw a significant 19% drop in violent crime, and murders were down by an impressive 32%. So why is it still number 2 on our list? Because the drop in crime is happening from an absolutely catastrophic high. The reasons for Oakland's crime problem are complex and deeply troubling. The pandemic hit the city hard, leading to economic stress and emotional turmoil. But it was made worse by local issues, including cuts to police services and violence prevention programs. Rising housing costs have pushed more and more people into homelessness, creating encampments where desperation and danger can thrive. It created what experts call a vicious cycle. The fear of crime keeps people off the streets. When the streets are empty, it creates more opportunities for criminals to act. Businesses are being terrorized by break-ins, vandalism, and armed robberies, with some so fed up they've closed down for good. Even with the recent improvements, Oakland remains a city where the social fabric feels like it's being torn apart, and that sense of instability and fear makes it one of the most dangerous places you could choose to live.
1. Memphis, Tennessee. And here we are, the #1 most dangerous city in America. A city with a deep and soulful history, the home of the blues, the birthplace of rock and roll. But behind the music lies a dark and persistent threat of violence. What makes this city, above all others, the place that so many people are afraid to call home? Welcome to Memphis, Tennessee. Like other cities we've discussed, Memphis saw a drop in crime in 2024. The murder rate fell by nearly 30%. But here is the terrifying reality. Even with that drop, Memphis still has one of the highest homicide rates in the entire nation. The level of violence is so extreme that even a major improvement still leaves it at the top of the danger list. The violent crime rate, while down slightly, remains significantly higher than it was before the pandemic. Your chance of becoming a victim here is not a distant possibility, it's a statistical probability that looms over the heads of the city's residents. Economic hardship and deep-rooted poverty are major drivers of the violence, creating a cycle of desperation that is difficult to break. There's even confusion in the data. The city reports one set of numbers, and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation reports another, slightly different set. But both agencies agree on one thing. The trend is downward, but the level of danger is still off the charts. Memphis is a city where you can hear the most beautiful music in the world, but you also have to listen for the sound of sirens. It's a city with a beautiful soul, but a very dangerous heart. 10 cities. 10 stories of struggle, fear, and sometimes hope. From the gang violence in Pueblo to the economic desperation in Detroit and the historic highs of violence in Memphis, the picture is more complex than just a simple list. Many of these cities are fighting with everything they have to reclaim their streets and protect their citizens. But the reality remains that in these corners of America, the promise of safety is still a distant dream. It's a stark reminder that a country's well-being isn't just measured in its wealth or power, but in the safety and security of its most vulnerable communities. So the next time you lock your door, think about these cities. Think about the people who live with this fear every day. And ask yourself, what does it truly mean to be safe? And what will it take to bring that safety to everyone, everywhere?